So we're all synced up and we're ready to go whenever.
Hell yeah.
How's your chicken, Ty?
It's delicious.
What type of chicken?
It's a shake and bake barbecue chicken from last night.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
De donde?
Shake and bake?
Mm-hmm.
Shake and bake.
Wake and quake.
Wake and bake.
Quaker Oats.
Yes.
Welcome back to episode 9 of the Super Mario World Central Podcast. We are back in audio format for the first time in like a month and a half.
Hold on, I have to change my icon.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to take the time and change it mid-thing.
That's
not
fine.
this time. But yeah, we are back. The music that you heard going over the intro was a Super Mario 64 slider remix by Dobie Meltfire, not for use in Super Mario World, but for use in Mario 64. The reason for that is because we have a special guest on the podcast today.
Hi there.
We have with us today Pablo's Corner, resident Super Mario 64 mod, and he's here because we're going to talk about Mario 64 hacking today.
Yes, we are. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming on.
Nice to have you, mate.
Yep. Of course.
And then the rest of us are all here. Me, Impetus, Ivy, and Ty.
The crew.
Yes.
Makes
there
sense.
we go.
The OGs, who are also not OGs.
That is a good avatar for Discord.
You ever think about the fact that we call ourselves mods and we make mods for games at the same time?
Really gets me thinking.
Illuminati eye.
Really activates my almonds.
I'm not staff, so...
Oh yeah, Ivy's demoted.
Oh yeah, Ivy's not
Ivy's just a dude now.
Yeah.
He got demoted for being a bad boy. No.
I demoted myself.
He demoted himself for being a bad boy. No, it's not true.
Ivy's such a loser. Can't even be a mod of the low mods.
Yeah, he's really looser.
How am I still a mod? I just tweet like twice a month.
You know, that's a discussion for another day.
Ivy's demoted, quote unquote, because he's back on just the PR side. He's not like full staff, but he's still. I mean, PR is still kind of staff anyway, so whatever.
PR is like user 1.5. You're like just below staff.
You're like local mod almost. Except
local mod without a forum to moderate.
No, but you have a platform.
You get to view the podcast channel on Discord, so that's the good stuff.
But you can't chat in the one we use for the podcast.
No, I changed it so he can.
I can actually join the staff discussion voice channel where we record our podcasts now. So, let's move into some site news. There's not that much this week because we did a podcast last week and there hasn't been that much different since then. CLDC is still ongoing. The deadline is March 10th for submissions. It's creeping up. I hear people talking about entering, and it's like, well, you got just over a week or so.
Yeah. Yeah. I have an idea. I've had an idea for over a month, but
classic.
Yeah, it's been going on for like a month, hasn't it? You got 2 weeks exactly to pull something out of your ass.
Yeah,
Oh, you know I'm good at
I've
that.
been
though.
pulling so many things out my ass lately. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough time to pull something out my ass for it, but I'll see.
My
I wish you luck.
Yeah, my ass is
one
pretty
of my
sore now.
VLDC entries was done in 3 days, and it placed in the top 30. So we'll see.
If you remember, I got
That's pretty good.
I think I got number 1 in VLDC, and then also, yeah, my level submission history. I think I've said as far as terrible, the best, and mediocre in that order.
Sounds about right.
Unless you
It's an average.
count my Mario Maker level, which was like 4th, but then again there was only like 16 people in the contest, so
It's all averages.
Top quarter is still pretty good.
yeah, it's alright. But no, I the reason why I've been busy on not making that level is because I've had Hearthstone card design competition to do instead on the Hearthstone forums, and I'm in the top 16 of that out of like 100 whatever people. So
Okay.
yeah, I've been mostly working on my entry for that because basically each phase of the competition, you do all the cards for like all of the expansions in the year, or in the previous cases it was the basic and the classic set. And then like half the contestants from that phase will get knocked out each phase, and I'm on like phase 4 now, so yeah, hopefully.
So it's like those cooking shows where they just eliminate you.
Yeah, pretty much. I was thinking it would be kind of interesting to do like a sort of a gauntlet level design contest where you like have like all users go for a gauntlet of designing an entire world rather than just one level. But there are so many other contests going on right now that it doesn't seem like the right time to do it. But maybe in the future that might be an interesting idea.
All right, we're going to move on because I don't know how long it'll take. We're going to move to the main segment and talk about Mario 64.
Yeah,
So-
my favorite game.
Yeah. So first off, like
Why
we've
have
done
you-
with everybody new to the podcast, I want to do some little intro stuff for Pablo first because I want to know who he is and all the rest of the stuff. So
Right.
go ahead and take it away. Who are you?
All right. Well, of course, my name is Pablo, and I've been in the Super Mario 64 hacking scene since like 2012, maybe even earlier. I didn't really start making like hacks until like maybe 2013 or 2014, and how I got into the the ROM hacking scene in general. I would just watch like videos of like people playing the games, and then like I would see ROM hacks like in related videos, and it's like, huh, this looks kind of interesting. I should give it a shot. And how I found like the Super Mario 64 hacking community was before Super Mario World Central, though it was on another site called Jewel. And yeah.
Ty and I are
that's
very familiar with Jewel.
Yeah.
I
so
got banned.
it used to be on there.
He got banned. Yeah, it's true.
Is Jewel like a crystal or like the Green
No.
Planet Kerbal
I
Space
think it's
Program?
JUL.
JUL.
Like
Yeah, it's JUL.
It's like both.
So
it's
yeah.
short for Just Us League.
So yeah, the main community used to be over there, and honestly, in my personal experience, it wasn't that pleasant. There was this one moderator that would didn't feel very pleasant to be around, especially when he talked to you or whatever.
Which one?
I have a sneaky suspicion.
His name's Lifescar.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, no.
He has that's his new name. He had a different one back then.
Oh,
I think
then
it was
maybe.
Maybe.
Metal
Oh,
Man.
it's him.
Yeah.
Oh, I peaked my audio.
But yeah, he would always give me a hard time back then, so it kind of turned me off from the site.
A lot of the staff there were very abrasive, but that comes from the board culture of ACM1 boards. So
Yeah.
It also
But-
gets a little bit off topic in comparison to what we're actually going toward or talking about here.
yeah.
But
yeah,
but the history started there.
Yeah, so it basically, for me at least, it started there. I mean, granted, when I looked back at my post, I was like, I kind of don't blame him, but at the same time, it was still like, it still
Yeah.
didn't feel very good, But, at that time, I think everyone was moving to Super Mario World Central, which was where I still hang around at. And I was like, wow, this site's way better than Jewel already.
So it was just a sort of migration that led you to the site.
Yeah, we kind of call it like the first great migration of Super Mario 64 hacking.
Exodus.
Yeah, because basically once everyone moved, like the activity on that site pretty much like was dying out.
Yeah.
Yeah, these days it serves as like a back end for the cutting room floor.
Yeah. But I think now recently they just archived the section because now it's like completely dead. So,
well, the reason it was there was because VLTone used to be working on Toadstool 64 on the site.
Right, yeah.
And that's where he chose to release a lot of his stuff, and they centered the community there.
I was going to make a completely dead, just like all Super Mario 64 hacking section joke, but considering this is a Super Mario 64 podcast, maybe not the best place for it.
So once we had the quote unquote great migration, everything was going pretty well, like everyone was pretty much here, and everything was prosperous and all that.
And this was probably around like
it was around
2013.
20, like most of 2013, so everything was pretty good back then.
That's about the time I left the site, so I missed a lot of the rise of Super Mario 64 hacking. So a lot of it's new to me.
A lot of, I would say a lot of the, like big stuff that happened was around 2014, and we'll definitely get into that like later. But I do want to like, talk about more general stuff like, because the game was integrated pretty like quickly with the site. Like you had the section, and then you had like the music and the textures and the hacks and all that like already like there.
Yeah, I was looking through the music section to see if I could find something to put at the front end of this podcast, and I was surprised to see that there were submissions all the way back to 2013. I did not realize our sections for Mario 64 were that old.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
And
like,
to be honest, I hadn't really noticed it until around about 2016, so I just gone like undercover to me all that time, and I wasn't really like off the site or anything. So
yeah. So, so around 2013, I was like contributing a lot to the section. I was posting like progress threads of hacks that I've been working on. Like M64 ports that I've been working on. Like I've posted that here. And everything was going pretty well because I would get a lot of people downloading like those songs, and I would go on YouTube, see like previews for like hacks that are being made from other people, and like. They would be using my songs sometimes, and it's like, wow, it's pretty cool to see that like there's just people using my songs, and they do credit me, so that's even better.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So speaking of that, so you're mentioning music, but in general, what sort of stuff do you do in Mario 64? Because I know you're a mod, but mods are generally specialized in something. So.
Right. So my main specialty is music porting. And how I got into that was from this guy who used his song in the intro, Dobie Meltfire. I listened to his music ports, and I was like, wow, these music ports sound really good, and I want to make music ports just like that. Because before we had this different tool called, MML to M64, made by Messian or Fruber. Back in the day when he was still making the SM64 level importer.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's basically the main tool that we used. We still technically kind of use to this day, but it's made by someone else, or it's being developed by someone else. So that was kind of like our primary like music tool, and the results kind of vary. Like. When I did it, like the songs didn't sound very good, but that's because there was no real easy way of like, setting like which instruments you want, or like all that stuff. Like, you can like it wasn't that easy for like at least someone like me back then to create.
It wasn't
songs.
very flexible.
Yeah. So they would end up just sounding really bad. So So around the time that the SM64 level editor was becoming more popular, this new tool that was actually implemented with the program itself called the XML importer, that was pretty much what I've been using for like the past couple of years, and it's very good. Most of my
judging
ports
by
are
its
on this-
name,
yeah.
judging by its name, it uses XML files to import
Yes.
music, I suppose.
Yeah, basically the process for that program was you would have a MIDI. You would open that MIDI up on, well, you would work with the MIDI first, of course, to make it work in Super Mario 64, which was pretty easy. If you had like a guide that showed you which went where, especially for the percussion, because you have to change it up a little bit. If you set that all correctly, basically you just, you save that MIDI, you open it up on this program called MuseScore, and you would save it as an XML file. And then you would take that XML file and you would open it up on the XML importer or whatever, or editor. And you would set up all the instruments and the volumes and all that stuff on that program. And it's a program that I've been using for like the past couple of years. And now a newer program has came out recently called Sequence 64, or it's called SEQ 64. And it's basically it's a lot easier to work with because you just have the MIDI, you set up all the instruments and the percussion, and then you just open that MIDI directly in Sequence 64, and you can and it's a lot more like flexible in what it can do. Like it's
I wish
It's basically what I wish our music editing tools for Mario World were like.
You remember MIDI to SPC?
That was quality.
That
And
was
by
not.
quality,
That did
I
not
mean-
work.
By quality, I
Basically.
mean quality means.
Quality with a capital Q.
right.
Yeah, it's
So,
like I wish we
High
could have had stuff
quality.
like that.
So the process is you would take the MIDI, like your edited MIDI, you would open it up in Sequence 64, and you're pretty much you could tinker around with the M64 itself in that program. And the cool thing about that program is that it supports a lot of like MIDI like stuff like pitch bends and like volume, like you can set the volume of the notes or whatever. I forgot what it was called, but you can it supports all that. So it's almost like a straight MIDI to M64 conversion that almost works like perfectly.
That's pretty sweet.
And you can like tinker around with it in the program too. So if you want to like for example, you want to like have a loop that like skips the intro of the song, you can do that. Very simple way of doing it too.
I wish I knew how to play piano so I could actually compose like MIDI songs without painstakingly writing every note.
Yeah. So it's really simple to use, and I'm making a tutorial series on my YouTube channel going through that process, and I'm still working on part 2. It's just that I've been a little busy with college and I've had really, no time to really do any of that, but I want to get to it like as soon as possible. But that's pretty much the program that we use nowadays, and it's created very, very good results.
So you do a lot of music.
Yep.
I know you also do some like 64 hack moderating on the site. So I assume you also do some actual like level design stuff too.
Right, yeah. I have some hacks that are in the works, and I've been doing, some of it myself, some of it with help.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. One of the very first projects that I started was this like port of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga to Super Mario 64.
Whoa.
And basically what I would do there was I would make the models from scratch of like the levels or the areas from that game and like put it in Super Mario 64. And funny enough, that ROM hack spawned another one made by someone else called Super Mario 64 Partners in Time, which I'm also helping out with. And a lot of progress has been made with that mod, and I'm very happy. And we actually have a demo of that mod released as well.
So there's 2 Mario and Luigi inspired 64
ports.
hacks.
Super Mario 64 hacks. The first one made by me, and the second one made by a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Who saw my hack and was like, "Oh, hey, this is a pretty cool concept. I want to make that, but with Partners in Time."
I suppose it's. I don't know. I've never used a 3D modeling tool myself, so
yeah,
it seems difficult. But considering a lot of these things, a lot of the models and stuff used in 64 don't really have that many polygons. I suppose you guys can also get away with having pretty low poly stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're building custom assets.
If you can make it look good, that's what pretty much matters.
Yeah, more than the number of polys
Yeah.
is going to be the texture work, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to have too many polys because then it slows down the game and all that. So you want to try to keep it as low as possible.
There's this dude on somewhere, like the Regressor or something, and he just makes low poly models for fun. Great stuff.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that, like, I know in regular game development, it's actually a lot easier to make, like, 3D models than it is to, like, make frames of sprites. Because when you're making, like, sprite animations, you have to, like, do each frame individually. If you're doing a 3D model, it's, like, a lot easier to animate a 3D model than it is to keep on drawing frames of sprite. So, like, especially if you're making, like, a fighting game or something, it's a lot easier in terms of, like, workload to just make the 3D models into the fight. Even though you can
rig the 3D models.
Even though you would expect, like, sprites to be like a sort of a lower fidelity version, they actually take more effort.
Yeah.
It's that hand-drawn feeling that just, it takes a lot of time, but often looks so good.
Yeah. It's true.
So, like,
but I remember there was one hack that I played on 64.
But
I think it just had these really, really high poly trees in it.
Oh my!
Oh yeah.
I think it was a Star Revenge.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Yeah, like whenever you hear
One of
anyone
them,
say that, like, 8-bit games are done because people are too lazy to make graphics, like, that they're not. 8-bit graphics are pretty difficult to make compared to 3D modeling.
There's some pixel games that have some really ugly ass graphics.
I mean, that's true. But there are some really ugly ass 3D games as well, with assets from assets.
I showed Ty a picture from apparently a game on the Switch right now, and it has everything is mismatched pixel aspect resolution or aspect ratios.
If you wanted to be lazy,
it's terrible.
If you want to be lazy, it's a lot easier to make something like Minecraft or like a cell shaded 3D game than it is to make like a 2D pixel art style game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe what I'm saying is that maybe Super Mario 64 hacking is easier.
Your 2D pixel art game doesn't have any animations, then it's way easier.
Yeah.
That's true, but that's just shit.
Lazy. Sometimes.
Yeah. But I wanted to say, I know that in Super Mario World hacking, like, you guys kind of have like this program that kind of like does almost everything in that one program. Like, you can make the levels, you can do all that stuff.
It does everything with
graphic
regards to
insertion
levels, basically.
Yeah.
It's really a nice luxury.
In our case, we don't really have that kind of thing because you need like a separate like program to like make the 3D models. Thankfully, there are some that are free. One that I personally like using is Blender.
Yeah.
Another one that you can at least get a free like student like version is like Maya or 3ds Max. I've heard that's pretty good, and you can make like pretty good models with that.
I've heard of both of them before, so
yeah. And there's this one other program that most people tend to use, but personally, I don't think it's a good program to use. It's you guys probably know it. It's SketchUp.
Yeah. All the tutorials I've seen for actually making levels use SketchUp.
Yeah. So pretty much like.
I think that's probably because it's Google and like people just sort of
actually Google doesn't even own it anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a company called Trimble.
Shows how long it's been.
Yeah. So they develop SketchUp now, but it's like
it's probably free and reliable, but just not.
It's not free actually.
Oh really?
It costs a lot of money to use that, like to legally use the program.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because
I mean, I legally own Photoshop, so
do I.
Yeah, let me search up SketchUp right now and see how much the Pro version costs, because you need the Pro version in order to like export as an OBJ, which is what the Super Mario 64 editor opens.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's go to buy new SketchUp Pro licenses. Wow, $695.
Yeah,
that's
per year, or is it one time?
That's not even.
I think it's one time.
Shoot.
That's to get a SketchUp Pro 2018. So that's if you wanted to get it the legal way. You would have to pay $695 to get the program.
I'm sure all of those tutorials are recommending you get the legal version.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, isn't the other reason they use SketchUp because there's plugins made for SketchUp for Mario 64 hacking?
Not necessarily. Most people tend to use SketchUp because it's like easier to model with. But the problem with that is that while it is technically easier to model with, most models that you end up like seeing aren't that good. No offense to those people that use it.
Well, if you're making a level, you can build it out of cubes and stuff, so it's easy.
Right, but the thing is that the levels end up looking too blocky, and you kind of want some variation to it. Like especially if you're making outdoor areas, right? You don't want it to look blocky. You want it to look like, you want it to look more natural. So you wouldn't really want to use SketchUp for that. And you have to remember that SketchUp, it's like the program itself is used to make like architectural designs.
So it's really good for if you want to
blocky
do
stuff.
Castles and stuff.
You're making buildings with that. You know what I mean? Like architecture people use that.
Yeah, I've seen like
I should say architects use that.
Software like that.
Yeah, so they use that to.
I wonder if another reason is the fact that I've always heard that Blender is just a nightmare to work with.
It is. I've worked with it.
It is.
I never got over the barrier to entry.
The thing is, you have to use it a lot in practice to like kind of get used to its workflow. But it's like once you're used to it, you can do a lot with it.
Yeah, I've always heard that barrier to entry is really high.
I mean,
it's got the skill,
and so that might be another reason.
It has a steep learning curve. So yeah,
you
just have to know you just have to experiment with it when you start it up. Just experiment with it. Like look up the the keyboard shortcuts and just like experiment with it. And the more you use it, the more you can learn from it and be able to use it. You can even load up.
Oh yeah, my experience with 3D modeling is basically computer-aided design, which is like the program that's designed to like 3D machining things.
Like CAD.
Yeah, like basically, I was using that,
like NX and stuff.
I can't imagine Blender is worse than trying to make something in that because that's what I had to do back in school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it's like as long as Blender's better than that, maybe I should give it a shot. I guess.
Yeah, so most people.
The other thing to remember is I think we're not talking about like for SketchUp we're not just talking about like simple assets like trees or things like that. We're talking the whole level, right? Most of the time.
Whole hog, yeah.
Well, with anything 3D, if you make like a tree or an obstacle, you can copy and paste it somewhere else in the level.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, without any knowledge of the programs, I can only take a guess at how they work. So,
like, I've seen people make good models with it. Like, like it's possible to make good models with it, but like, I feel like the people that do make good models with SketchUp, I feel like they can make the models even better if they use like programs like Blender or Maya or 3ds Max, whatever.
Okay,
and they can do it much more quickly and efficiently. Because the thing is, like, like I've opened up SketchUp models on like Blender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes like there's a whole bunch of like duplicate like faces and vectors and all that, or vertexes, I should say. Like it's really unoptimized. Like somehow SketchUp like really messes up your models.
I mean, that's got to be really bad on Nintendo 64.
Yeah, like the collision gets all funky and the model looks weird, and it's like, you're gonna have a really difficult time. So like I personally tend to use Blender, and I'm going to get into Maya hopefully soon. I have a friend that's gonna be teaching me how to like use it like for for like the purposes I'm gonna use it for, like for modeling levels and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So and I once I learn how to use those programs, I want to like add on to my tutorial series about how to use that program for for making models in Super Mario 64, and hopefully that produces good results for everyone that watches it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you're doing so you got two, you do music and you do some level stuff, but you're obviously not alone in this community. So like, what can you tell me about the Mario 64 community? Because it is different from the Super Mario World community. They're pretty. They're not isolated. They're kind of isolated from each other, even if they share the same site.
Kind of, yeah. I can tell you from firsthand experience that the Super Mario 64 community is one of the most interesting communities I've been in. Like you have a lot of characters on there, that kind of make it special and interesting.
That's a very polite way of putting it, I think.
Very diplomatic way.
Yeah, I don't want to start any beef with anyone, so
it's us, the UN of Mario World.
Yeah, but but it is true. It is very interesting. Like the people that you meet on there, and there are a lot of good people in that community.
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously some people that aren't so good. And
the same can be said for Super Mario World too.
I think any community has its bad apples.
Yeah.
Like Mario World, Mario 64, like even Sunshine and Galaxy, whatever other game has a hacking scene, they have their...
I could name a few in Super Metroid. I could name some in Fire Emblem.
Yeah, Sonic community, they have their bad apples.
I could probably talk about the bad apples in Sonic.
Not really. I don't know much about Sonic hacking.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure.
But I guess since we're heading into that topic, I guess I can, relay some, like
there's always going to be like people that come along with that strange and not very pleasant views and try to claim something as their own, even though like there's a large community to it. That's just like the way the way they like to go. It's like just I don't know. People, it's like how they like I don't know, like they try to claim. Did you get like all these alt-right people try to claim Papa John's is that pizza chain? It's like. I mean, okay.
Papa John's isn't even that good.
Like, okay, you could. I guess you can believe what you want, even if the majority of people think it's kind of awful. I mean, as long as you're not hurting anyone. But you can't really just walk along and claim that a pizza chain belongs to you. That's kind of insane. Like,
just a little bit.
So yeah. So I do want to get like talking about like like people that I think of like done a lot for the community.
Sure.
It's me. I did everything for the Super Mario 64 community. I'm like the best hacker behind that.
Of course. Totally.
Yeah, but she did it all pro bono, so she didn't put her name on any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that one hack, Super Impeded 64. That's like my favorite hack.
Oh yeah.
I worked really hard on it.
Yeah. A lot of good.
It's sad that it's sad it had to be rejected.
Because it was too good.
Yeah.
Because it actually ran on the console.
Yeah,
it actually ran on console, so I had to be rejected.
It ran on the console.
But actually, you know what? Like in all seriousness, like speaking about like console compatibility, that's one thing that like people in the community have been trying to like achieve. And I think the only way that honestly could be achieved is by having new tools that can work with the ROMs to make it work on console. Because I honestly think that the current tools, or at least the more like older tools that are still used, like it's not going to happen.
So, it's actually there are no console compatible Mario 64 hacks?
There's only one, and that's because that one had to be modified a lot to work on console. And
my question would be,
I'm curious, if you did back in the day, if you did a hack using just Toadstool, would it have been console compatible?
I'm not sure, because you had to still extend it. You still have to extend the ROM, and that moves data around. So I'm not exactly sure if it would have worked.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. I don't know. I've never tested it out, and I don't have a flash card to do that.
My question would be, is there a reason why they work on emulators and not on console? Because like the SNES at least has some pretty accurate emulators.
Probably because you can enable different things in an emulator.
I think back then, when the programs were still working on flash cards for like the N64 weren't as like widespread. Like you couldn't really get one. Well,
they're still really expensive. So
yeah, they were also expensive. So you couldn't really just buy one whenever you wanted. You had to like save up and So the only thing we really had back then was Project 64 1.6. That was kind of like the one emulator version that everyone used. I still use it, funny enough, because it works for me.
I know there's like 2.3 or 2.4 out or something like that, but I still use the old one because they don't seem to work. The newer ones. I don't know what it is, man. But sometimes playing Mario 64 hacks, patching them, stuff like that, I just have the hardest time.
Yeah, especially when we use the PPF format.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was the one.
The problem with that is that it didn't tell you if the ROM you were patching to was correct or not. So sometimes you would patch it to like the wrong version, or like it wasn't expanded or extended.
Wasn't
or whatever.
PPF made for like PS1 patching or something?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just piggybacked on that.
All the the experience that I've had with PPF was that it never worked for me, because I would download a PPF, I would patch it to the ROM, like it would be extended and expanded already, but like once I selected my save file, the game wouldn't work. And that's happened to literally every PPF file I've ever downloaded.
Yeah.
It has never worked. So once
I remember...
go ahead.
I remember for a while, you used to be able to, on some people, on their, like, hack release trailers, they would, weirdly enough, they would just link the ROM directly in their YouTube descriptions and stuff like that.
People still do that.
Yeah, they still
That's
do
how it be sometimes.
Yeah.
I guess that's to get around the, the patch thing. I mean, because I understand why people do it, because it's very convenient. Like,
Is
you
it
don't have to patch
BPS
it
these days?
Yes, we use the BPS patching.
I mean, in
system,
theory,
I guess
BPS can be used on anything, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it should,
it
because
can
it just
be.
looks for differences and then patches the differences, correct? So
Yeah.
I imagine it would work. It's just...
There's another patching system that I've been discussing with like another person, and it's called X Delta. And it's
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's being used on DS hacks, and I've seen that it's able to like reduce the file size even more than BPS. So, not that I would necessarily want to implement that right now, because we're already used to BPS. But I think eventually, maybe one day, we could like move on maybe to X Delta, because
I can't wait to hear people complain that you don't know how to patch an X Delta and leave.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still support BPS though, because it's still good. So I think you could submit it as either BPS or X Delta. I'd say
both.
as long as or both.
Yeah.
I mean,
as long
if
as you kind of
have
like
both
let
in the
people
same
know.
folder, then you're kind of defeat the point of having a smaller file size.
That's true,
Well,
but...
I guess you could like let people know which patch it uses. I guess I don't know. Like, it's too early to like I guess discuss about like how it would be implemented, but
Yeah, it's true.
like BPS is still good. You know what I mean? So we're not really getting rid of that anytime soon. Like, it works. And the great thing about BPS is that it tells you if you're patching it on the wrong the wrong ROM.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
most people tend to have it like patched to the original 8 megabyte ROM, like the clean ROM, which is very handy because, you just get the ROM, patch it in there, and it works. Instead of having
When you
to,
expanded, how far does it go to? Is it going to 32 or 64 or
by
lower?
default, it expands and extends to 64 megabytes.
Okay.
It gives you a lot of space to work with. And like the funny thing that I've seen is that when you compress it to like a zip file or whatever, or like 7-zip file, it usually goes down to like 8 or 7, like close to 8 megabytes, which
It gets tiny again.
I wish.
Yeah, it basically goes back to the original size.
I wish we had the ability to expand to something like that for production too. Freaking.
Well,
we're stuck trying to get it all into 4 megs.
Gotta keep it console compatible too. So
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because
that
you
is-
have to remember that this stuff was tested
cartridges that
with,
big.
this stuff was tested on like emulators, like old emulators, like Project 64,
Mhm.
especially with like 1.6. Like that's pretty much the version that everybody used back then, and some people, still, including myself, still use that version, mainly because it just works for me, and I'm assuming it works for everyone else too. But it has a lot of inaccurate like emulation stuff, like the video plugins and all that.
Is it like the ZSNES?
N64 emulation. N64
emulation
emulation is a nightmare.
I can't believe
It's
you're
not
still
perfect,
using
but it's
ZSNES.
way better now.
Are you still
it's because the
using?
console's really hard to emulate because it was.
They should call it Z64.
Z64. Wait, that's actually
there's
the
a
file.
couple reasons, but
That's the
one
file
is it
format.
has a GPU, so
Funny enough, Z64 is the file extension for N64 ROM, so
Oh my god,
not that
ZSNES
far
is
off.
confirmed.
yeah, so you're not that far off. But so yeah, so that's pretty much how like the patching stuff works and all that.
I feel like we got off topic to go and started talking about patching and stuff. Where were we before that?
We were talking about people in the
People?
community.
I think we were talking about
okay.
drama. There's this little bit on the episode plan that says quick discussion of drama. So I think
I do want to. I do want to talk about that because it obviously happened. There's no way around that. So without getting into too much detail about it, one of the guy that pretty much made the Super Mario 64 level editor to this day, said some stuff that I don't think people agreed with, and probably didn't sound good at all. And it caused a little bit of heatedness and
rift in the community.
Yeah, and he eventually got kicked from hey, when we still used IRC, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he got kicked from there, and kind of went on at least from what I remember, he kind of went on a tirade on our what was it, the Space Cats group that we still exists to this day, actually. But he used to run that, and so he would kind of talk about that on there. And then what happened was, all that's there would be back and forth stuff going on, and the final thing that happened was that he ran some sort of script to post a whole bunch of things within a couple seconds, and that triggered a auto permaban on him. I guess that's what he wanted
on the site.
But
the suicide tactic.
I didn't realize we had an auto perma.
I didn't know that either until he did that.
Yeah, it's spam bot protection.
We have DDoS protection. I didn't know we had an anti-spam permaban.
What's that? Our site actually works?
Wow.
I don't think he knew that would have happened. I think his purpose of doing that was to spam up the site. And and what he also did was that on the threads that he made, especially for the Super Mario 64 importer, he would kind of edit them so that it would just be memes, basically. It had nothing to do with
got
the
rid
actual
of the resources.
You're very
he basically did, right? And he said that we weren't allowed to use his branch of the SMWCentral, so we had to. So we were basically stuck with Fruber's original last version of the importer, which is not good.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't aged well. Let's just say that. So obviously, I don't think anybody was willing to use Fruber's old versions. So that kind of led to more back and forth stuff about oh, we can use this here, or no, you can't use this here because it's my program.
Well, in our rules now, it says if you willingly upload something to the site, you can never take it back down.
Right, but the thing is, from what I've noticed, was that he never submitted the tool to the site itself.
Oh, okay.
He had it linked to a MediaFire thing. So I guess technically he did have a case there.
Sounds like somebody actually read the terms of service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there's not that many SM64 tools on the site anyway, submitted here.
Yeah.
The only ones that we really have is the ROM extender from VLTone, the Toadstool 64, the last version from VLTone. Let me see. I think that's really it. Just Toadstool 64.
Yeah, there's 6 tools.
Oh yeah,
Toadstool, extender, importer, MML to M64.
The last version of the importer from Messian or Fruber, which is version 1.6 or I guess 1.6.
Yeah.
So I guess technically he was able to get around that by not having it hosted on the site, which is it's whatever, it's fine. But the fact that he just kind of got rid of it so that nobody could even have access to it, I think that was kind of the problem as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people regardless should have access to especially if it's a tool that's used by the community. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is a tool that everyone's using, so I think people should have access to that tool.
So if it's not on the site, what do people do now?
Well, I mean, they pretty much have control of if people can download it or not, and that's pretty much what he pretty much got rid of all the MediaFire links to that.
I mean, legally you can't stop people from linking to it. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, in my tools thread, I have links to it. It goes to the Origami 64 thread, which I'll get into his site later on. But in a nutshell, in my tools thread, I do have a link to the latest version on his thread, and I also have an archive site, or it's a part of my site. It's an archive of all of the older versions. So it goes all the way down to let me see, 1.9. And I'm planning on adding more versions later. So it has like the latest-ish version, and it goes all the way down to like 1.9. So, but that's.
So let me ask another question. So there's the level importer, but there's also Quad 64. What does Quad 64 do?
Quad 64 basically is intended to be a replacement of Toadstool 64.
Okay.
Basically, it's an open source tool made by David Eask. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but it's made by a guy named David.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the tool to replace Toadstool 64, which is that program has basically been obsolete for like years already. You try to open it now, you really can't open it because maybe the graphics card you have doesn't even allow it to work.
Yeah.
I have an NVIDIA. I'm sorry. I have an NVIDIA graphics card, and I try to open the program and it doesn't even open. So I have to open it with Windows 98 compatibility mode, and that's not good at all. It sucks with that version.
It uses this weird framework I've never seen anyone else use before. So
right, the Toadstool 64 uses Adobe Director.
Oh,
that's how old it is.
Yeah.
So he worked on it. He made it with Adobe Director, and this Quad 64 uses more modern coding languages and all that stuff. So it works, and it's also on GitHub. So if you wanted to add your own stuff to it, you could.
So what does it do?
It
if you got to build the levels in Blender and stuff like that and import them,
right?
Is this what allows you to place objects and things like that?
Yes, it allows you to place objects, warps, all that stuff that you could do in Toadstool 64. You can basically do here, and the program's still being updated to this day. So you could ask for you could request new features, and it could get implemented.
Yeah, I think what it is I don't know what Toadstool 64 was capable of. So
is there any chance of eventually Quad 64 becoming more like Lunar Magic and skipping the whole level importing process and just having
eventually
build level inside it? Because
you would need a 3D modeling capability to be created inside the program, which is probably possible, but sounds tricky.
The thing is, the same guy who made the tool, he has a level importing backend that he made, but it hasn't really been implemented in any programs yet. I think in the future, I see Quad 64 possibly taking advantage of that.
Yeah, because I can imagine if that happens,
level importing thing.
You'll see an explosion of people doing 64 hacking.
Yeah.
I've seen plans for people to make new a new level importer to replace the current one that we have. And I'm honestly pretty excited for that because that means it'll be the levels will be optimized. It could work on consoles, which is a big thing. And the ROM hacks would just work better, and the levels I think would look better too. I'm pretty excited to see what Quad 64 could, or any other tool that's trying to be the next level importer. I'm really excited to see where that goes. So yeah.
Are you the only Mario 64 mod?
No.
QRAM is.
I share that role with Ergazubi, and I also share it with QRAM, who's the latest SM64 mod.
I keep forgetting about poor Ergazubi because he's been without a computer for 6 months.
I legitimately thought Ergazubi had just quit stuff.
Not even on mobile, huh?
Yeah.
He's still there. He's just unable to do anything.
Didn't he just get a new computer?
He just got it now, I believe.
Also, he's not going to be Ergazubi on an iPad then.
Yeah. But I've basically been doing most of the moderating myself pretty much since he wasn't really around. All these pending M64 songs, I basically have been moderating them all by myself, and it's really, really exhausting. But somebody's got to do it, right? So
someone needs to update your avatar on the staff panel page.
Yeah.
It's an old one.
Soul SM64 M64 modder. I don't know. Something like that. I'm pretty much doing almost everything nowadays. And we did recently just recruit QRAM.
Yes.
And he knows a lot, technically about the game. He knows a lot about technical info.
I mean,
like the assembly and like how the game works, like like technical wise.
Well, that's good. You got to have some variation.
Yeah,
I
because
was
it's like
gonna say-
Oh, go ahead.
if you end up like way too many people doing like submitting hacks, I could probably moderate the hacks themselves. If you
If you
need a
want,
hand.
sure.
Yes,
Currently
this
there's
one's bad.
6.
Get rid of it.
Here's the thing, right? Like, since I'm the only one doing it right now, if like one of my team members, which I'll talk about later as well, submits like a hack, I basically can't moderate that because I'm kind of like involved with it.
Oh,
So
right.
I would be like biased, and I can't. So it basically has to stay there, like in the waiting section.
Oh, and there was also I remember there was also discussion a few weeks ago about this Brutal Mario 64 in there, and that nobody is really qualified to
I
moderate
tried playing
a
it.
Kaizo 64
I tried playing it. Like I even did it on stream. I tried playing this game on
64
live
Kaiser
stream.
hacks.
I could not get that far into the game because it was that difficult for me.
Mhm.
Give it a shot.
I gave it a shot. Like I even live streamed myself playing it because like when I play like waiting like pending ROM hacks, I usually like to live stream it because it's kind of fun. So I do that, and I like getting like the public opinion. Like, is this hack good? Is it not good?
Yeah.
It works for me, and it makes the moderating process fun because I can kind of share that with like people who watch.
I'm looking in the section right now, and there's 2 120 star hacks that were submitted within the last week.
Yeah. So from what I've seen here, this Bowser Takes the Castle hack, it seems to be like a retexture, like Toadstool hack. I don't know if that'll be accepted.
Oh yeah, Hidden
honestly.
Stars looks to be a retexture.
Hidden Stars, yeah. Actually, I think this one might have a more specific like. It doesn't look like a vanilla hack either. I think it might have some assembly stuff in here.
It's 120
So I'll definitely have to
stars
try that out.
unfinished. How many stars does this place have if it's unfinished? Then again, the screenshots do basically look like regular.
It does seem vanilla, but I think it might have some like special like assembly stuff. So I might give that one a shot like sometime.
Well,
Okay.
I guess message me if you need me to do any moderation with this because I could give it a shot.
Yeah, I especially need someone to moderate like hacks that I'm involved in. So
I can't wait for Idle to demote me to Super Mario 64 hack mod and PR.
So yeah. So that's pretty much that like we pretty much talked about the big drama that oh yeah, I actually do want to keep going into that a little bit because there's kind of like an aftermath and what's kind of happened afterwards.
Sure.
So like so the guy like he's had problems with other people in other forms, like I can like name Karibo 64, Jewel, but everyone kind of has their issues with Jewel.
Everyone can name Jewel.
But yeah, so he's basically been kind of like outcasted from like every form, basically, and so he decided to just make his own form. And I do go on that forum sometimes because that's kind of like where people go as well. So it's like, hey, if I'm making hacks, I should post it there too. So so that site exists, and I go on it occasionally. And it's not that bad. Like the forum looks good and all that, and it feels nice and clean. And a funny thing about that site though is that you don't have you can just submit ROMs like as they are. You don't have to submit patches. I don't know how long. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that the site's lasted that long, but I think the way that was implemented kind of saved the site from being like taken down.
Probably
because you have to be like you have to have an account on the site to see I think attachments or whatever.
Oh, it's one of those forum softwares that links are only visible to registered members or something like that.
Oh, the ones I absolutely despise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart.
It's smart, but if I'm Googling something...
Right.
And I
kind of just want to be able to download it without having to have an account.
I mean, I feel like the time is always going to be taking on that one, because, if they do get popular and noticed, then Nintendo will...
All it takes is one Kotaku article.
Yeah.
Right. The thing is, that site doesn't have a whole lot of publicity either, which I guess is also the reason why it's still alive.
Yeah, pretty much. The only reason is why it's because no one's noticed it. If it became
the thing is, the site itself... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Because, even if it becomes a thing, then as soon as Like Pokemon Radiation version or whatever.
Uranium.
Uranium was bad though. So
like that was bad. That was like that. Yeah, I know. Like that was a bad game, and it wasn't that popular. But Nintendo still took it down. So like
because it got seen. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's more chance than anything. Like you don't even have to be like making a good thing for it to be taken down. It's just literally chance.
On Metroid Construction, which is the main Metroid hacking website for the most part, there's one guy who's making a hack called X Fusion right now, and he's doing incredible things to Super Metroid. It's mind-boggling. He's basically taking Fusion and putting it into the Super Metroid engine, and that comes with like rewriting the sound engine, coding all of the bosses from Fusion, including like the SAX and stuff like that.
I mean,
but anyway, it's an incredible endeavor, and he's also created like the dialogue system and things like that. But it got a Kotaku article last year, and this was after AM2R had been taken down by Nintendo, and everyone was like, "Oh shit! I hope this isn't next."
Gone.
That's actually a really cool hack. Just it's not out yet; it's still being super in development. But you should check it out just because the videos are impressive as hell.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that the site itself is not that it's not that popular. Like people go on it and post stuff on there, but it's not like crazy like active, if that makes sense.
Most people just have... There's like a Mario 64 hacks wiki, isn't that where I see most people get their stuff from?
Yeah, it's the site called SMWCentral Hacks. That's kind of where most people kind of get their hacks nowadays. Well, I mean, it's existed for like a good while, but that's generally where most people get their hacks.
Runs parallel to our sections.
Kind of, yeah. Although I don't know if there's a way, like as far as I know, I don't know if there's a way for like the creator to like submit your own hack. Like the hacks just kind of get added on there.
Yeah, it's a wiki style.
Kind of, yeah. So that like the hacks that you make just kind of end up on there. Sometimes that kind of creates problems because it's like sometimes there's a hack there, and like it's not a hack that you made, but your name is somehow attached to that. I actually kind of had a problem with that. Like I went on there to like see like, oh hey, well like what hacks did I make that are on there, and like there was this one called like what was it, SMK Rainbow Road in Super Mario 64, and like it had my name attached, and I was like, why is my name attached to this? Like I didn't make this.
That's classic.
So
that's classic wiki curation right there.
I had to contact like the people like who run the site to be like, hey, I didn't make this. Can you like remove my name or whatever? And they did. You know, they removed my name from it. And now it doesn't really have a name attached to it. Yeah. So it's not bad. Like if you just want to like go on a site to download SM64 hacks like whenever you want, you know, it's a good site to get it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and if nothing else, it seems to be way more complete than ours is.
Yeah, but you know, you should be going to SMWCentral for all your Super Mario 64 hacking needs.
I also imagine they don't moderate.
The number one place to do your Super Mario 64
Right, they just kind of add it on there.
You have to at least have permission to upload a hack on SMWC.
Well, yeah, the thing is, the person that uploads the hack to our site is, you know, the creator, right?
Mm-hmm. Usually,
but, like, on there, usually, sometimes people upload, like, other existing hacks kind of as, like, a, you know, like, oh, it's a BPS conversion hack. It doesn't use PPF anymore. You know, and I've seen some people, like, upload hacks, like, Last Impact, kind of, like, uploaded without the creator's permission. So I talked to the creator, and he was like, you know, no, I don't want that hack on there, so I had to reject it because, you know, he didn't have permission to upload it, so I, you know, removed it. Also on the music side, funny enough, there was this person that submitted like an M64, right? And it was like a Mario Kart song, I think. And I checked that out and I was like, wait a minute. This M64 looks pretty familiar. So I checked one of my M64s, the one that I made. And I compared it, and I was like, this guy submitted one of my songs to the site and is passing it off as his own. And I was like, I am not gonna, that ain't gonna happen under my watch. So obviously I rejected it. And I was like, hey, like, if you're gonna submit, you know, like, M64s, like, make sure it's your own M64, not mine. Like, it was the same file size. It had, like, almost the same name. Like, I was like, really? You're gonna like
change just enough so it looks like they tried.
It's like you're gonna plagiarize my work, really?
And then submit it to the guy who's gonna have to.
You're submitting it to the guy who's gonna moderate it.
At least when I was new on the site, pretending to be better than I actually was, I didn't plagiarize people. I just posted screenshots and pretended they were reps when they actually weren't.
See, everything I submitted was stuff I did.
Just like you're supposed to. Just put screenshots of other SNES games and tell people it's a rip.
Let me see. I'm trying to find it because
it's much better than plagiarism.
Let me see. I'm trying to find it because it's really funny.
I'm just looking at
I'm honestly not even sure why I used to do that because I was perfectly capable of making graphics. I guess it was just like childish, 12-year-old attention seeking. Yeah, I was 12.
See, I just used a shitty posting gimmick.
Oh yeah, you mean like posting like disarray at the end of your posts? Except not that.
Don't sign your posts.
I was the happy piranha plant.
Okay, I did as well. I used to overuse like ellipses, and I used to like.
Oh yeah, everyone did.
That's true. Like, edgy kid, whatever.
I can't find it. What the heck? Maybe I like passed by it or something, but
Also,
like, the story's really funny because
this emote, which I can't really pronounce, but I will put it in the chat. I use that emote way too much.
Those are negation symbols with a hyphen in between them.
Yeah.
For all of our viewers who cannot visibly see this.
I'm looking at the sheer number of hacks submitted by Brodude on this site.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, he's got a lot of those.
A lot of Star Revenge hacks.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Huh, I can't seem to find it, but the story itself is pretty funny. It's like
actually, I think I played Redone 2.0 and it was actually fun.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I guess we could get to the funny stories about people in the community.
Yeah,
because I have a lot of good ones.
10 Super Mario 64 gives number 9 will make you laugh.
So, I guess like a good way to introduce the funny stories is that there's been like this meme that's kind of going around in our community where like you have some random person trying to like recreate like this older beta version of the Super Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
And like you look at the the screenshots or the videos and they don't really look too good. Maybe it's because like it's still in development, but most of the time it's not very accurate at all, and sometimes not good.
Why would you want to make the beta version anyway? Because that's like the worst version to begin with. So like,
because it looked really different, and it would have been, I don't know. I guess to me like it would have been interesting to like play that version just to see what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what spawned that was because there is one person that's making like a legitimate like attempt to recreate like the beta version, and it's actually good. Like it's made by this guy named Duda, and he kind of
I remember that name.
Yeah. So he was the one making the original like beta like recreation, and then I guess there was this one guy who his name was Super Mario San 100. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my own version, but I'm gonna like use his. I guess somehow he had access to his assets or whatever, and he was kind of like using them, but it was like poorly implemented. So,
So I'm assuming the meme is just it gets progressively worse.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of copycats out there, if that makes sense. So what happened was like
Super Mario Beta, but worse.
So like, so he's been like posting it like around everywhere, like Mario San, like he was even in our community for a while, and he like like once we knew about it, like he kind of he basically became like known as he was known as the guy who was like who stole Duda's like stuff and like was like making his own like bad version of the beta or whatever, beta stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
And he became kind of like a big meme. So he kind of like left the community afterward. And the funny thing was that Duda himself, he made like this video series kind of like making fun of like his version of the beta or whatever, called like Repus Oriam 46.
I mean,
and it was honestly one of the funniest things I saw, and I think it's really like everything like you would need to know if you wanted to like know what happened. Like
I mean, if you as a person are able to spawn that many memes, you should be proud, even if you did it through idiocy.
Yeah, but everyone was pretty much making fun of Mario San at that point. I think he just wanted to like get out.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
That's
but
fair.
Like,
there's a bit of dogpiling that sometimes occurs on our site.
Yeah,
but
he kind of deserved it because he stole like someone's work and tried to
feel
pass it off as his own.
If you brought that much enjoyment to other people, in a way, you were successful.
Yeah.
In a poetic way.
But yeah, anyways, I posted the video that Duda made on the podcast channel.
I am going to watch it right now.
Yes, you should, because it's very funny. Also, you should lower your volume a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's loud.
It sure is. It's very funny. And he also made he actually made like 3 other sequel videos, but like the next 2 got deleted for some reason, so there's only like Repus Oriam 46 and Repus Oriam 49. I guess because those 2 videos were like the best ones, so he just got rid of the other ones that weren't as good. But it's still funny.
What other stuff with the community?
I actually want to finish this one a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, so I actually did have like a little bit of involvement with the copycat one, but that's because he wanted me to like do like sound effects for it. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll do sound effects for you, whatever. And you can hear those sound effects in this video, the Repus Orion video. Because what happened was I had a copy of it, obviously, because I was doing the sound effects. And I was like, I wonder what would happen if I gave this to Duda. Gave this ROM to Duda. So I gave it to him. And I would say that probably spawned this series. And I can say I'm kind of proud of that. Because it's pretty funny.
Everything else I've accomplished on this site, not worth it in comparison. This is the real legacy.
I mean, the real reason why we're all here is just to spawn memes, right? I think.
Yeah. So now there's another attempt being made by someone else. His name's BitBoy64.
Oh yeah.
I noticed a lot of threads about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of threads about this sort of project on in recent times. It's really weird. I would say that this attempt is much better than Mario Sans, but it's still kind of isn't as good as Duda's version, which is supposed to be the most accurate version out there. And I can believe that because I've seen old preview videos and they're very good.
Mm-hmm.
This one's okay, it's you kind of get the idea, but it's not as good. No offense to him. I wish him well on his project. And what I did, and this is the first time I'm kind of revealing it. So we, me and my team, are making our own version.
Another podcast
beta recreation. But we're focusing on one specific build, and that's the build that they had available in the 1995 Shoshinkai show, which is a good thing because that prioritizes us to work on one specific version, right? And there's a lot of footage. There's a lot of footage of that one build floating around on the internet, so we have a lot to work with. And our goal is to balance accuracy with, good aesthetics. So, we want it to look good, but we also want it to be accurate.
What about good level design and no aesthetics?
And our other goal would be if we can release this, right? There would be no point for everyone else to kind of make their own version, if that makes sense.
You gotta beat them to market.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. I want to create the best version possible, other than Duda's, because his is gonna be from what I've heard, his spans on multiple builds.
Right.
So that's fine if you can make it work. That's great.
No, I'm hearing you. What you're saying is that I should go and start making a recreation of the Argonaut Yoshi game that they demoed to Nintendo.
If you want,
I
go
think,
for it.
I think that's what you're saying. That's
that's
where the money is right now.
Right. So if you look at the Super Mario 64 section, on the projects section, the most recent threads you the last 4 threads that you see are beta recreations or revivals or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is hey, here's here's the best version that I me and my team can create. So here you go. If that makes sense.
I know how we're gonna learn how to hack Mario 64 now.
Oh no.
At least so we don't see any more copycat projects, if that makes sense, that aren't as they're a little more lower quality. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So So that is something we are working on. We've had good success. Like we've been able to recreate like physics. We were able to bring back the 2D star that they use.
Ooh.
We're currently we're currently remaking the Whomp's Fortress stage model, which originally used to be called Mountain.
I think I saw one. Mountain. I think I saw a picture of it.
Yeah,
you'd posted.
Yeah,
I don't know if you posted it in staff.
It was a render. It was a render of the model. Yeah, I posted it on staff.
Oh, okay.
And
secrets.
Yeah. I've actually updated the model a little bit, but for the most part, that's what it looks like. And I've been trying to like I said, I've been trying to balance out like accuracy and how like the aesthetic so that it looks good. And I think I've been able to make it look good for the most part. Like it doesn't look bad or anything. Like like the textures like wrap around stuff very well. Like I use Blender to like.
I did notice it was very colorful.
Oh yeah, it was very colorful back then. Very colorful. Like I had carpets, like like in like near where the thwomps are. It was pretty cool. You had like a red carpet to walk on. It was very interesting. But one of the other things I wanted to do was recreate the water theme. Like with the original instrument that he used. Like we're trying to track down like which instrument exactly used or like what the sample was. We're trying to make the music sound kind of like how it did in the original version. In a nutshell, we're just trying to make it look as like good and accurate as possible. So
yeah, that's something I wanted to ask about. I've heard a lot of the Mario 64 custom music here uses the original instruments.
Yeah.
Is there custom instruments?
There are.
Just nobody uses them.
I've made songs with custom instruments. The thing is, it's not that easy to distribute, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because you have to kind of like re-input all those samples manually if you want to like hear it.
Oh,
like
okay.
I guess the easiest way of going about that would be using like PPF patches. But sometimes that might be a little unpredictable, and it might mess up something. So I tend to stay away from that. Like really, like if there was like a file that like just contained everything, like the entire thing, you could just import it or whatever. That would be a way to distribute it.
It's not like Mario World with I think BRR files are our sample files and stuff like that.
Yeah, the thing is like it doesn't have like that kind of file system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of have to manually import it, and there's no easy way around that. So that's why most people tend to just stick with the stock instruments. But I actually do want to reveal this as well. This is another exclusive. My friend Trenovix he goes by CPU Hacka 101 in this site. He's been making this all-in-one sound bank, which has like all of the most commonly used instruments from the game, and he's putting it in one sound bank which you can use. And it's very cool because you can like use almost any instrument now from the game.
Any song.
Well, no, any instrument that you can from the game, you can use it in your song.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you're not limited to a certain amount. You don't have a specific instrument set.
You're not limited to a specific bank, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can use every instrument like that is possible to use in one bank.
That's pretty cool.
It's kind of like the rare games like Banjo-Kazooie. Like it had one sound bank for everything in it. Smash Brothers 64 also has one bank for everything.
Nice.
Wow.
So we're trying to like recreate that in a sense for Super Mario 64, and it's it works out very well actually.
I never actually really thought of that.
I created a port to kind of like demo it out, and it sounds very good. Like honestly, I think it sounds very good, and I'll link that here to the podcast channel if you guys want to hear that.
I never really thought about that kind of thing before, like using code developments from later games and bringing them back to earlier games.
Yeah, I was able to port Smash Brothers songs into Super Mario 64.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, and I was even able to import some Super Mario Sunshine samples into Super Mario 64, and those samples sound very good.
I bet, being on a higher quality system.
Yeah. And like the instruments in themselves sound good. So that's why I use them. I kind of like to, like, for me, I kind of like resampling the samples that I use, especially for the hacks that I make or the hacks that I like do songs for other people. because like it's already like I've already used them before and they sound good, so it's like why remake samples that you already have and you already know that works. So I kind of like recycling that stuff. It works for me. So yeah, that's pretty much like I guess the cool advancements with music hacking in Super Mario 64. Like it's gotten a lot better over the years.
That is cool to hear about, though, because music hacking usually seems like it's one of the final things that final frontiers in any game's ROM hacking.
Yeah,
is that true?
It is neat to see that
there's two hacks. Yeah, there's two hacks that I've put like the most effort into the music. The first one being like one of our own hacks, which was Super Mario 8MB, or that's a hack made by my friend Mel. Very awesome person. Makes very good models too, and it needed good songs, so I stepped up to the plate and I made I ported the songs as best as I could. We mainly stuck to Sunshine songs, but I think it ended up sounding very well. I'll link one of those songs. This is one of my favorite ports that I did for the hack. So I'm posting that right now to the podcast channel. And another hack that I did music for was Super Smash Brothers 3D, which is like a hack where it has like the concept of Smash Brothers, but it's like in Super Mario 64, so it's like 3D. It's kind of fun actually. But
that's neat.
And I did the music for that for a while. I don't do any. I don't anymore, and I'll get to that. I'll get to that later. But I think one of my favorite ports from that game was Final Destination, because it was like one of the most complicated songs I ported, and I was able to get to sound like almost perfectly. I'm posting that here too, so you guys can hear that. So yeah, that's pretty much everything regarding to music. So
we are kind of. We're running a little long. Usually we go like about an hour and a half or so for the podcasts at this point. But I have two things I do want to get to on here because
is it me complaining about Odyssey, or is this for another?
You're being cut again.
That's not necessary.
Done.
It feels a little longer because it's been like a one-on-one interview almost, but like
I don't mind that it's going long, but I also want to make sure that we do keep moving through, because there are two more things I do want to at the very least touch upon. One's important, and you have on here the creation of Team Cornersoft, so I want to talk about that, because that seems to be a pretty big thing that you're involved with. So Can you tell me about your whole Team Cornersoft?
Right, so Team Cornersoft was something that I wanted to make, because I wanted to make like kind of like a group of ROM hackers that could like help each other out with like whatever. And over the years, it's proved to work out very well. Like I have like a lot of team members on like developers on my group. Like I can 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 12 people in my team developer list. Like it's a lot of people. But the like how it started was like you guys kind of like know about this, like all the drama that's kind of been going around with the Super Mario 64 community.
Mm-hmm. At least a little bit.
The group was kind of made as a way to like escape from that. We could have like our own like little community where we could just talk about ROM hacking and all that, like getting away from the drama and all that.
It's like the Jump Team, except there's more drama.
Yeah, like we needed to get away from that, so that was one of the reasons why I created Team Cornersoft. But at the same time, it was also like create like a network of some sort of like ROM hackers that could like help each other out and like be able to like create their ROM hacks and know that they could make it because they have like people that could help them out. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And over the like years, like we've expanded our group. Like we have like I don't want to say big names, but people that you kind of know about if you were in the community. Like one of our team members is somebody who created the tool SM64 Paint, and that's a tool where you can do vertex painting or coloring on your models. And he also created Super Banjo-Kazooie 64, the Redux version. where it takes advantage of SM64 Paint. And he was also able to port the Banjo-Kazooie music almost perfectly to the game.
With the Banjo-Kazooie one, let me guess, the Vertex Paint is used to simulate the colored lighting?
Yeah. And he was able to port that cool. like 100% perfectly.
That's cool.
And the game looks so good, and the music sounds so good. It's honestly one of the most impressive hacks that I've seen up to this day. And I'm kind of proud to say that that's under the Team Cornersoft,
umbrella.
Like, wing, yeah. Because he is in our team, so in a sense, it's kind of like a Team Cornersoft thing. But the cool thing about our group is that you're not really forced to have to help us or anything. Like, you can still do your own thing. So like we have a lot of projects under our wing. Like I have Sonic Adventure 64. I have Project Sunshine 64, which is a port of Super Mario Sunshine to Super Mario 64. We have some Super Mario Sunshine hacks under our umbrella.
Sunshine hacking? What?
Yeah, that's a thing. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't. How is that? That's probably for another. That's probably for another time. Holy crap.
Should we be Should we be opening up a sunshine hacking subforum now?
But it's still it's still like in its infant stages.
Yeah.
Like more tools are coming out and you can do more.
I mean, who doesn't love using Flood though?
Also, one thing that I never knew was that Sunshine's music was sequenced, so you can make your own Sunshine songs.
Oh, that's
kind of like Super Mario 64 songs. You can use their instruments, which is kind of cool. Let's see what else. We have Super Mario World hack under our umbrella too. It's called Luigi is Lost, and it's made by it's made by my friend.
Mario's Missing.
Yes, but say is it Mario's Missing sequel?
It's really good.
It has
like custom cutscenes and everything, and it's very cool. It's made by my friend Quasmock, also known as Nikki. He's a very cool guy, and he clearly knows what he's doing because he was able to make like custom cutscenes and like all this other cool stuff, which I was really impressed with, honestly. And we post all of our progress, and we also do live streams too on our channel. We have our own YouTube channel. Like I said, where we pretty much post like progress of our hacks or like tutorials, and live streams that we occasionally do. Very cool stuff, honestly, and I'm pretty proud of where things have kind of shaped up to be.
I like the logo.
Huh?
Nice.
I like the logo.
Oh, thank you. It was based off of like the way it looks is kind of based off of Sonic Adventure's like cover art.
Yeah, the cracks with the chaos juice running in between.
Chaos.
Yeah, the chaos juice. And of course that stemmed from, me doing Sonic Adventure 64, and I think it kind of looks cool anyway.
You mean the chaos juice?
The chaos juice, yeah.
Chaos juice.
So yeah. And my friend Nikki designed the like the logo shape where it has like the C and the S and like these like 90-degree like
corners
angles. Yeah, corners.
Yeah.
Like and honestly I think it looks kind of cool, and I'm pretty happy with how the logo ended up looking at the end. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much like Team Corner, and I hope to eventually expand even more. Maybe even with our own form if we have enough manpower for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be eventually cool. We could probably definitely get it affiliated with this site, huh? That's if we,
if you get big enough, yeah.
You can probably
we get big enough.
I mean, you can probably just get like a Team Cornersoft subforum around here.
Yeah.
We seem to be giving those out nowadays.
Can I have my own
we
subforum?
We have our own private like subforum, but it's not public. So.
Okay. Oh, you do have a Team Cornersoft subforum.
Yeah, but it's only accessible to us, I guess. It's not really.
So
public.
it's like Team Haunted. Sorry, Team Haunted.
It's basically kind of like our own thread repository.
Oh yeah, there is. There's a user group for it.
There's Team Haunted. There's Code of the Dragon.
There's only 3 active members of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess we've been pretty busy lately, so we haven't had much to, like our friend Mel. He's busy doing his own like video game company, It's a legitimate company, so like it's kind of cool. And he has this game called The Room Builder, where it's kind of like Habbo.
Oh God, Habbo Hotel.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like the room building aspect of it, which I guess most people had fun with that.
Yeah.
So it's basically like all about building like rooms and like like sceneries, like in that isometric pixelated art style, and it's honestly pretty fun. Like I would recommend checking out that game if you guys like that sort of thing.
Okay.
It's very cool. Sweet. So he's been busy with that, so he's had no time to really like work on like his ROM hacks. So it kind of makes sense why he's not really active within like ROM hacking, because he's busy doing that. One of our other team members, Luigi X Hero, he's more of a Sonic hacker. So, but he is helping me out with like some of my SM64 projects, which is like Sonic Adventure 64, Superstar Saga 64, all that stuff.
You guys just got a lot of projects in the wings.
We do, yeah. And the great thing is that we can all focus on our own projects. So I mean, we can get work done on them, and we can motivate each other.
That's pretty nice. That's a nice setup.
Yeah, it really
I feel
is.
like a lot more people would benefit more from that sort of setup in more instances.
And also, when we work on our stuff, like me and Nikki or Quasmock, I'm just gonna call him Nikki from now on because it's easy to call him that. So when we do like our own stuff, we live stream it, so like people can just watch us working, and it allows us to talk to people, and it's very fun, honestly.
We used to do that. Ty and I and some others used to do that when we were doing a Fire Emblem hack. We would do development streams.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Shame about that Fire Emblem hack.
Shame about that hack.
I feel like
thank you, tools.
We need more groups like that.
Tools. Yeah. So Nikki mainly does the live stream like themselves, but I get to like join along with him, like in a voice chat, and we just kind of have fun with like each other and the people watching the stream.
Yeah.
And it gets us very productive. I would honestly say, like I would probably do my own like live streams as well, like maybe on the channel or on my own channel. I would probably actually do it on the Cornersoft channel because like more people like end up watching on there. But I think what we might eventually do is we might move to Twitch because we did a poll recently on our server, like asking like what like streaming service like people would like to watch us on, and Twitch ended up winning that one. So we might move to Twitch.
Okay.
You got like cheered by bits or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. If we get popular enough, we could get cheered. Like we could get bits and all that stuff. I think that'd be and subscriptions.
That'd be neat.
Yeah, we just got to grind and work hard and all that. So yeah, that's pretty much Cornersoft in a whole.
Well, that's cool. I like the idea of that team.
Yeah, I'm proud to have made it. Have all the people that are in there. I would say we have a diverse like amount of like people that are doing like completely different games.
That is cool.
Yeah.
The last one that I had, the last question I had, I don't know if anybody else has other questions, but I wanted to know what hack, Mario 64 hack, is your favorite? And let me put an asterisk. Let's outside of like your team or something.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I already kind of said it before, even though it's kind of a part of my team. I really love Super Banjo-Kazooie 64 because it really takes advantage of like the newer tools that kind of came out. Outside of my team, I would say one of my favorite hacks would have to be. It's kind of difficult because there's a lot, and I haven't played a whole lot of them either because I've been so busy. But one of the ones I played a lot was Star Road. I kind of enjoy that hack. Last Impact's another one that I enjoy playing. And there's this new one. There's this new hack that came out recently. It's kind of a short one. It's called SM64 Sapphire, and it's a pretty basic hack, but it's really like fun. And it's just kind of like one of those wholesome SM64 hacks that the whole point of it's just to have
wholesome
a good time,
platforming and all that stuff. It's really fun.
Okay.
Let's see.
I laughed in my head when you said Star Road because I was like, oh no, you said the magic words and Ty's going to get mad.
I mean, I'm sorry. I know that, the person associated isn't that liked, but
my
the hack is still kind of fun.
My problem with Star Road comes down to a lot of the level design. There's a lot of really, really weird, janky jumps.
Yeah. It was a really early hack, so I definitely get that. Like that hack took that hack was basically kind of like what Super Banjo-Kazooie 64 Redux is now, where it kind of like took advantage of like the new like SM64 like level importer.
I was going to make a comparison to Demo World Legend Continues.
Oh, all right.
Because if it was like the big first Super Mario 64 hack that I can recall. I can also make a comparison to Super Metroid Redesign.
Yeah, I also hate redesign, so there you go.
So yeah,
they were the first big, complete, well-known hacks that probably a lot of people played.
Were there any comments about Demo World asking when the full version was going to come out?
Maybe back in 2005.
But yeah, so those are like, like pretty much my favorite like SM64 hacks up to this date. Okay. I might start playing more, at least, when I have more free time. But those are pretty much what I like my favorite ones so far.
Anybody else? I'm out of questions, but
do you know if anyone's working on a better lighting engine for Mario 64?
That's possible.
Honestly, not that I know of.
Okay.
But I know that with I actually do know that with SM64 Paint, you can do your own vertex coloring, so you can kind of like make your own like lighting in a sense.
Yeah. I have a question that's similar to the hack one.
All right.
What's your favorite level that you've seen someone make? In
my favorite level?
Yeah, just like a single level.
It's kind of a hard one because I would have to say my favorite level. I don't know. There's like a lot of
the
good
intense
ones out
questions.
There. Yeah. The thing is, it's hard to name a specific level because there's like so many.
I mean, I was thinking like because in 64, I'd say my favorite level is Hazy Cave Maze.
Oh, you mean from the original game?
No, I just mean like from hacks rather than not the original.
Oh, from hacks. Okay.
Yeah, that was hard. That was difficult.
Yeah, that makes it more difficult.
But it's not like it's like a hack version of just like pure level design perfection.
Huh. I guess I don't know. It's really hard to answer that, honestly. But I would then have to resort to Star World and Last Impact because those are like the hacks that I know like the most that are not really in like Cornersoft. So
if you want to include Cornersoft,
you can include Cornersoft if you want.
I can. All right. I would say can I include multiple levels actually? Because
sure.
Right. So I would say that the levels that are featured in Super Mario 8MB are like one of my favorites because they look so good, especially for like the N64. And I think they would look even better with the now that SM64 Paint is a thing. I think those levels could look even better now. So I think those levels in particular are my favorites, and also the ones that are in Partners in Time 64. Like those are looking very good too because they're very stylized and it looks very nice. Yeah. So I would say those are my favorite levels.
That I aesthetically really liked. I was watching someone streaming Mario 64 hacks, and it was like this Japanese cherry blossom like shrine, but it's all like split into floating islands, and some of them are rotated sideways. And that was just really cool looking to me.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't remember what hack it was, so
that sounds pretty neat.
Oh, it was one of the Star Revenges, probably.
Probably was.
There's so many of them.
Star Revenge has some good like models. I just think that if they were modeled like not in SketchUp, they would probably look better.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, that could go for any hack, not just Star Revenge, but any hack that uses SketchUp. Like, I used to use it. I still kind of do on occasion. That's just to, like, fix some, like, minor stuff, like make sure it's exported well, whatever.
There's just something about the Mario 64 formula and the way that stars were hidden and things like that.
Yeah.
I think is just really appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like that, there's some hacks also that, when you collect a star, it doesn't kick you out of the level, so you can just kind of like keep going. And I also really like that formula too, because you can just collect multiple stars in one go. And one hack that really takes advantage of that is Super Banjo-Kazooie 64, where you collect Jiggies, and Super Donkey Kong 64 by K's,
You know what I'm wondering? Have you ever heard of the Toy Story 2 game?
For which
for
console?
All consoles.
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah.
Oh no, it was N64.
Yeah, it was N64, yeah. So like,
I have that game.
Well, I was wondering, it'd be really interesting to like try to export that to Super Mario 64.
If there's a way to export the models, I could give it a try. Yeah.
Yeah, because
those levels were big explorational levels.
Yeah, they were really cool. Like
it could work with that the star collecting formula as long as you set it to like not kick you out.
Yeah, like it was like a really cool game.
Because it was basically, there were 5 things that you had to collect in each level, essentially stars.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So yeah, that could work out very well.
And there were collectibles in each equivalent of coins.
Yeah, so, but rather than having like sort of changing goals, you just had like a level with multiple areas and one area for each sort of star.
That's pretty much what that's pretty much what Super Banjo-Kazooie 64 does.
Yeah.
Like you just collect the jiggies and you just keep, you just collect others.
I was thinking
it'd be nice to play that game without memory card. Finally,
it's a really cool game, and it'd be interesting to see like either if you could move some of the stuff onto 64 or.
Like honestly, though, anybody listening, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I just want to say anybody that wants to play a really good Super Mario 64 ROM hack that has a lot of potential, play Super Banjo-Kazooie 64, the Redux Edition.
I think I'm gonna have to play it now because you've mentioned it like 20 times. So I think that just means
very good. Honestly, it's very good.
To play it now.
He's being paid every time he mentions it.
That explains it.
I wish I was being paid.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it, sort of like that sort of toy perspective that's in the Toy Story 2 game.
There's a couple
which might be really interesting to either try to make something like that or like just export it, or I'm not gonna say just start hacking the Toy Story 2 game because I don't think that's very likely.
Yeah.
It'd be suddenly interesting to like sort of make something like that. A similar kind of perspective.
You got any questions, Ivy?
I do not.
You've been sitting there for like the last hour. I don't think you said it. No.
The waveform is going to be a little bit minuscule.
You
can read this one. It says silencio.
So I guess I could just go to like miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say any last things you want to say. People,
what are your top recommendations for people looking to get into hacking Super Mario 64? Your golden rules.
Yeah, actually, I do have some words for people that want to get into it. One of the first things I will say is do not use SketchUp. As much as people tell you to use it, don't use it. Just use Blender. Even though it has a steep learning curve, just use that or Maya. Either of those tools are good. Just use those tools. Don't use SketchUp.
I'm going to build my levels in Minecraft.
Build your models in Minecraft and export.
No, I build my models with Roblox.
Build my models in VR chat.
You should make a Roblox and Minecraft exporter for Super Mario 64.
I mean, you can export a Minecraft world into
it's technically possible. Yeah, you can actually export your like Roblox models into like OBJs, and you can technically do it, but you would have to like heavily optimize the model so that it like doesn't like because it creates a lot of polys, so you have to like
Blender's got an optimize button somewhere. I remember using it.
So, but yeah, so my next advice would be if you're gonna make models, you should sketch them out first. Like, do not just make them like the levels, blindly. Like, you should sketch them out and kind of see what works and what doesn't work, because your level might kind of look like a mess or might look empty.
Build a topographical map like you're making a guide.
It also needs to be fun to navigate.
Right. That's if you're making models by scratch, of course.
Yes, please,
if you're doing ports,
please no 90-degree turns on where you have to jump on thin platforms anymore. I'm getting real sick of that.
No, what I'm getting sick of is the in a river. If you, instead of having a 90-degree wall on a river, you have like an 85-degree one that Mario tries to walk up and slides right back down.
Oh, I mean, there's a way around that. You just need to set the collision to like a climbable surface where you can just kind of like walk up it with no problem.
I haven't seen anybody do it yet.
Or you could have your collision model be an actual wall, and it still won't be a problem.
It is possible though.
Yeah.
Like the final the final obstacle course to get to the final Bowser where you can just
walk up that wall.
Yeah, like that's you can just use that collision on that surface. So it is possible. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anyone use it. But it is possible.
I just want to get out of the lake.
Let's see. Also, another advice: if you're making a ROM hack, use good music ports, please.
Yeah.
Like some ROM hacks, I hear like the ports aren't as good. Some of them sound empty or sound completely wrong.
Is it different in Mario 64 compared to like Super Mario World, where you see like, I don't know, Raocow was playing an old hack and there's like so many mediocre ports and it's like, oh man.
Yeah. If you can make your own MIDIs, like definitely do that because you'll get the best result out of that.
They have terrible
if you have
instruments
to use
and stuff.
if you have to use other people's ports, try to find one that sounds, I guess, good.
I was going to say, isn't that because old hacks use MIDI to SPC for all their ports?
Well, that was for MIDI to SPC. SPC doesn't work for N64.
Yeah, but like in old Super Mario World,
that's what Sequence 64 does.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes people tried to use MIDI to SPC for Mario World hacks. I don't think we accepted those submissions.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? With our, like Super Mario World Central, we moderate the songs that get submitted. So like when I moderate like the M64s, I try to like see like, hey, does this song sound good? Does this song sound like somebody would use in their ROM hack? And I try to like make sure that the song is good. That's why I kind of have that high standard, because it's like, I want to see ROM hacks use good ports.
Yeah.
Hearing like bad ports is like, ugh. It just kind of turns you away from the hack because it's like, oh, I can't listen to this.
Yeah, and especially because you have to like you stay in a level in a 64 hack for a lot longer than you do Mario World.
Right, you go back to
the
that
music
that
doesn't
level
change.
To do stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So try to use good ports. That's basically like
that's the lesson of the day.
That's a lesson for that.
Ivy, you need to use good ports.
I shall. In
also,
my 2 levels that I've made ever.
My next advice would be to join the Team Cornersoft server, because we have in all seriousness, we do have a pretty good community in there. It's pretty it gets pretty productive. So if you don't want to deal with drama, just go there.
You might get maybe one person who actually hears that plug. So I don't know our viewer retention on the podcast.
Don't worry.
If you want, just link the server on the description.
Yeah, I think I'll try to put a bunch of links in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can like put timestamps of when I
got a lot of resources.
Pretty much everything that's been put in the chat since the discussion.
Yeah. Remind me to do that. And I will.
In a nutshell, though, just like make the best hack that you possibly can. Like take advantage of like the tools that are out there, especially the new ones that are being made. Like take advantage of those tools because they will make your hack look amazing in the end.
And take advantage of the advice that you get back from people.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. Especially like listen to the criticisms that you get because they will help you. Like it might hurt. Like it might like hurt your feelings reading it, but trust me. Like at least if it's constructive, like take that into heart because it might make your hack look really good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I see people on here that like can't handle criticism sometimes, and it's just like, oh, why? Why? Just take the criticism and work with it. You know what I mean? Like I think I gave a fair amount of criticism to some hacks in this podcast. So for the creators that listen to that, please take that into heart. It will make your ROM hacks better. I guarantee.
Constructive criticism.
I guarantee that your ROM hacks will be better if you listen to that. So that's pretty much all the advice I really have.
Any last shout outs or plugs?
Well, obviously, of course, I want to plug my team, Team Cornersoft. Duh. I also want to shout out to Simple Flips. He like in all seriousness though, like he has kind of put like Super Mario 64 ROM hacks into like the map. Because it's like a lot of people watch him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he mainly like does like like speed runs or like playthroughs of like ROM hacks, and they're very entertaining. So like that's why I'm shouting him out, because he has helped the community a lot by like bringing more exposure to it. Like more people are like, hey, I want to play these hacks or whatever, and they get involved with the community. It's awesome.
Okay.
So I do want to shout him out like legitimately, not just as a meme, but also as a meme. Of course, I also want to shout out to Super Mario World Central for for hosting the game for such a long time. You know, I wouldn't know where it would.
Generally okay place.
It's a generally okay place.
Generally.
It's the highest praise we can give it. Super Mario World Central, generally okay.
Yeah, it's generally okay. You know, all the people that I've ever worked with.
It's better than LiveJournal.
Yeah, like all the people I've ever worked with to give me the experience that I have now,
and only slightly less outdated.
Yeah. You know, surprisingly, I will even shout out Origami 64. You know, as being another place for
you're not supposed to mention them. Shakes head.
Well, hey, I'm being honest here.
Edited out the podcast.
We gotta can
Pablo.
this one.
All right. Well, bye, guys. I guess I'm packing up my bags and going home. But yeah, I mean, it is an okay site as well. Like I won't like. You know, like, He Who Shall Not Be Named doesn't really, you know, tyrant on that site a lot, you know. It's mainly just a community, like, doing their thing, so...
So you're saying it's better than Jewel, is what you're saying?
It's, well, any form is better than Jewel. Let's be realistic here.
I'm gonna see a lot of tweets in my timeline about that comment.
I don't know if they listen.
Yeah, I mean, not that I care anyway. You know, I don't roam around that site anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't care. And actually the site does have, like, Origami 64 does have a wiki with a lot of useful, like, information about Super Mario 64, so that's another reason why I'm shouting them out, because they do have a lot of useful information. At least on the wiki side. So, I'll at least give them credit for that. You know, like all the ROM hackers I've worked with, again. I guess that's pretty much it for all the shoutouts. I mean, I've pretty much given attention to all of them.
All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
I love the high focus podcast, even if I did too much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, I actually forgot to discuss how I even became staff of the site, but
true. You were good at the job, and therefore you got it.
Save it for the staff spotlight.
Just kidding.
Shout out to I want to say shout outs to Counterfeit for helping me get the job. Because if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have been a mod. At least not, you know, like as soon as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to thank her for helping me get into the staff. You know.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, pretty much that.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have our first nearly 2-hour-long podcast.
Amazing.
But it was
pretty
informative.
Pretty hefty podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but it's pretty entertaining.
If you made it through the whole thing, congratulations.
Yeah, don't get used to it, because next week we're just going to be like yelling around, running around for a topic.
Then good on you.
Complain about video games again.
Yeah, next week's just going to be like complaining about video games and not having a topic.
Well,
but hey,
Pablo, if you want to come back on the podcast at any point, feel free.
Absolutely, I love being here. This place is it's really fun doing these with you guys.
Yeah,
I'd love to, like, even if it's not for Super Mario 64, I'll be happy to join in and give my input.
Yeah,
sure,
that'd be cool.
On stuff. Yeah.
You can come and complain about Odyssey with me.
Hey,
Odyssey is good now because of the DLC.
I actually like Odyssey, so you know, but I haven't finished the game, so.
Yeah,
I need to 100% the game.
It's not a 10 out of 10. People greatly exaggerate.
It's a 9 out of 10.
Let's hold this discussion because we don't want to go to 2 hours 30.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Another time.
All right.
Sorry, Impetus. You'll have to wait again.
It's all right. But I really did have fun being here with you guys. You know, being able to like talk about, you know, like Super Mario 64 hacking as a whole, like the history, even the drama. In the aftermath of it, you know, it's very interesting to talk about. And
I feel like we got a good comprehensive look at the whole of of hacking at this point.
Yeah, and I hope the viewers, you know, got entertainment out of it and got to learn something new about the history of the community, I guess.
I mean, I learned some new stuff about this as well because I have no real connection to it. So
even the memes of the community, like, you know, the beta. Or you know, Smith Jr.
or Simple
Black
Flips.
Luigi Inc. LLC, sponsored by Domino's Pizza.
Speaking of pizza, roommates cooking up some good ones.
Yeah. Nah,
All right.
in all seriousness, so
Which I will not be eating.
he's okay to talk to sometimes. Sometimes he gets very Smith
I feel like he occupies like the spot that Falcon Punch used to occupy. He's like the post 2015 Falcon Punch. He's taken over now that Falcon Punch is like less Falcon Punch.
Now that Falcon Punch is less Falcon Punch.
Yeah, now Falcon Punch is more peachy now, I think, is what's happened.
I think nowadays he just does like Let's Plays. He doesn't really do like Super Mario 64 hacking anymore. But who could ever forget the one hack that he did try to create? Super Mario 64 Returns of the Star Road 3.
What even?
Beautiful, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, he even made his own tool for it, which was based off of the Super Mario 64 level importer. So that's a nice nugget of history right there.
What the fuck even is a Mario?
I think it's like
we asked that right along the same time we asked what a Sonic is.
Was that made by Atari?
Probably.
What they call
Mario was made by Bandai, I think.
Bandai Namco?
Yeah.
No, not before they became.
That's Dark Souls.
Before Bandai combined with NX to become Bandai NX, Bandai made Mario as part of the Thai Toys line, the Beanie Babies.
Mario the Plumber series.
Mario was one of the Beanie Babies.
Oh, okay.
Impressive.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we need to get out of here.
We're getting a little delirious.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to drag on the podcast any longer, so.
Thank you for coming along, Pablo.
Of course. Like I said, I
thanks
had
everybody
a fun
else
time here.
for being on today, and thank you, the viewer, for listening.
Especially if you made it the whole 2 hours.
Yeah. We will see you again next time.
Leave a comment below if you made it to this point. Like and subscribe. Tell us in the comments if you made it this far.
There's some kind of bragging rights to be had.
Yeah,
we need a secret word for it.
I have a challenge for you guys. If you made it this far into the podcast, say thread closed.
There's your password for today. Thank you so much
with clapping
for watching.
emojis on it.
All right.
That's only if you made it this far.
Thank you all for listening. We'll see you again next time. Later.
All right, bye guys.
Later.
Unsync.
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 Unsync.